Welcome to Gay Fairfax, the D.C. metropolitan area's only weekly gay cable magazine featuring news, views, entertainment, and pride. I'm Eric Randall.
And I'm Rob Wilson. Each week, we feature events and personalities of interest to the gay women and men in the metropolitan D.C. and Baltimore areas.
This week, we'll tour an exciting new addition to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, Space, a world-class art gallery.
And then for you soap opera fans, we have the next installment of, that's right, Inside, Outside the Beltway.
Michelle Michaels interviewed the owner of Rehoboth Beach's newest addition in the world of art, Space. Pictures, paintings, and masks are but a few of the objects of art on display in a unique environment, hence the name Space.
Gay, lesbian, and straight artists from around the country vie for the opportunity to display their talents and work at this premier showcase in Washington, D.C.'s own summer capital.
Hi, we are in Space in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and I have the proprietor here, Steve Elkins. His lover, Murray Archibald's not here with us now. He's off doing something creative at Strand,
Oh,
right?
he's setting up for a big 4th of July celebration that we're doing tonight. He's the creative side, and I'm the sort of the budget controller, so I don't
You have
get
the
to
feet
help.
on the ground, he has the head in the sky, is that it?
That's what some people say. Welcome to Space. It's
Well,
nice to
thank
have you here.
Well, why don't you give us a tour, give us a little background first of how it came to be, and then talk about the artists that are here.
It's kind of crazy, Michelle, how it came to be, but last year we opened the gallery as really an artist gallery, an artist cooperative, where people could come together and collaborate with other artists on developing talents, and it was called CAMP last year, C-A-M-P. CAMP took a life of its own, and we spun it off as a nonprofit organization that's a gay and lesbian community service organization. We then needed a name for the gallery, and everybody that came in here looked around and said, wow, what a space. This space would be perfect for performance art. This space is where we should do this and that. So we said, what better name than Space? So it really has taken that name and given us the ability to do anything with the space.
Well, I must say it's designed like a theater space.
It is. Murray was a theater major and was an actor for several years. In fact, when we first met, he had no art background. He was strictly theater. And he took those skills, and we've developed the space very much as a set, very much as a theatrical performance space.
Well, tell me about the artists that you have here. You have 5 artists at the moment?
Actually, we have primary shows of 5 artists. We also have some jewelry and some smaller items by a few other artists. But what we're trying to do is rotate different artists into the area that are associated with the gay and lesbian community. But we have artists from Washington, D.C., Rehoboth, Baltimore, excuse me, Philadelphia, and New York right now. They're artists that have come to us, and they're everything from paintings that you see behind you, such as Kent Wallace, who's the resident artist at McCormick Holt Art Institute in Baltimore. Murray, my lover, has several paintings that are in here, and some wonderful mirrors that he designed that we'll take a look at in a minute. And then we have a lot of glass and some really wonderful creative glassware by 2 different Baltimore artists that came to us and said, we want to be part of what you're doing. So it's really nice to see this collaboration between the artists and have them come into Rehoboth, because Rehoboth really has not had a good art community other than the traditional gallery that also was a frame shop that sold a lot of lithographs or serigraphs. We're one of the few galleries in Rehoboth that strictly sells original work.
These artists are all gay or lesbian?
Or associated. I told someone recently that just because you're gay doesn't mean you're homosexual, and just because you're homosexual doesn't mean you're gay. So, in fact, Murray's sister, who is an artist as well, has a show that'll be here later this summer. But it's people that are friendly to the community, and it's a draw from that community as far as our customer base.
I see. How do you advertise, and where do your clients come from?
A lot of it is all just clients that Murray has had over the last 9 years through shows that he's done at the Blue Moon for every summer for 9 years. So he has a following. People come up and say, when's Murray Archibald's next show? And that's really all we've done, although we have done a show at Mariposa in Washington, so people know it from there. And one of the artists that we have now, Tim Tate, came to us through that show. So it's really just word of mouth and by the seat of our pants, so to speak. Because we're involved in so many other things in Rehoboth that you just do what you can.
Well, you're really involved in the gay community here, and there's a lot going on, isn't there?
There is. It's really been exciting, and the space that we have here is part of a larger organization or a larger group of stores and a little shopping arcade called Camp Town. And we have other businesses that are all related to our interests and our desire to make the community a real inclusive community.
Mm-hmm. So there's almost every kind of service that's growing out of this network of people, isn't there?
There is, and there's an amazing amount of people that have moved to Rehoboth and decided to make it a year-round home based on what they see as a talent that they can add to the community, whether it's accountants or restaurant employees or anything from service industries all through traditional computer technicians. Everybody else, everyone seems to be choosing Rehoboth as a good location for ability to get away from a big city, but still be in a central location and still have some impact in what you really want to do and what we need to do now.
Why don't you go around with us and talk a little about every artist, give us a little information about each one and what their media is like.
Okay. Behind me, the paintings, and to the wall to my left are Kent Wallace. He is, I told someone he came in to visit with us. We talked to him on the phone, and he's big, burly, sort of teddy bear looking guy, and he comes in and has some really delicate flowers and some paintings that are very, very colorful and very interesting to have in the space, and they've been extremely well received. He's from Baltimore. The glassware that we have just put in, some art glass that are vessels, vases, that type of thing, from Fig Mangiafico. This is a good one, Fig Mangiafico, who's from Pittsburgh. But he also has some, as he called them, his statement pieces. And a couple of them are very interesting. One of them, as you see, sort of a bomb with wings and a nipple on it. And it's his answer to the Defense Department, or the defense budget, being so out of control and so outrageous when AIDS research and other social services are being cut, are not being funded properly. That particular piece is called Suck on This, Baby. And it's what he wants to send to President Bush, I think. Other artists that we have featured, Tim Tate, who is from the Washington area. Tim has some spectacular glassware that he's one of the few people that make glass, fused glass, in some extremely large bowls and some pieces that he told me, tell the customers to pick up these things and feel them. It doesn't help unless you can touch the glass and really see how nice it is and enjoy it. So he's got one particular piece that's been extremely popular, and it's called Second Star to the Right, which is Map to Never Never Land. Most of us have a little Peter Pan left in us, so that is really a statement on, sort of on what we're trying to do with this space, make it a fun space that we can continue to evolve, and it'll change not only summer to summer, but it'll change throughout the summer.
You have some wonderful jewelry here. Tell me about that.
A couple of the jewelry artists have come to us, and they're totally unsolicited, and it's funny because they've all said, we understand that this is once again, the space where we should be showing our jewelry. One of them is Carlos Gomez Lopez, who moved here just recently, met the chef of the Blue Moon, and came back from Germany with Joe after a winter vacation. Carlos was living in Berlin, but he's from Seville, Spain originally. He's designed some really wonderful jewelry pieces that have been extremely popular. Others, we have a woman from Oakland, California, Naomi Fine, that's done some very whimsical jewelry. That's bolo ties, pins, those types of things that are just real cartoon-like characters. And then we have Debbie Appleby, who's a local shop owner that had a men's store here, decided that she wanted to design some earrings, and she's done some very outrageous earrings that we can't keep them in stock. The black and white pinwheel ones that you see over here that are extremely large and very much of a statement. So all the jewelry has been a real staple item. It's something that people can really appreciate because it's an original design piece.
What's the story behind those whimsical masks you have over there?
There are not very many masks left. I said all the artists were from this area, but actually the masks were designed by Kevin Ritter, who's the costume designer for the UCLA Dance Company. A friend of his was in Rehoboth last year and came in and saw the space and said, I want you to see these masks. We featured them, and in fact, now we only have 4 of them left, but they're very elaborate masks, but they're very wearable masks. Since Kevin is a costume designer, he can make these wonderful masks with great feathers and all types of jewels on them that you can actually put on and wear, or you can have it as a decorative piece in your home or office.
They're really lovely. And as a close, tell me about the photograph of the gentleman, if you want to call him that, the hands in the window, the picture there.
The photograph is actually by Barbara Kinney, who is a Washington, D.C. photojournalist. She took the photograph as for us to use as an invitation for a fundraising event that we'll be doing at the Strand July 25th. It's a fundraiser for Life Songs, which is an AIDS support group in the Baltimore area. The actual theme of the party is Chains of Love, where several parties will be going on that weekend, which are each a link in the chain. The photograph with 4 hands coming across it in the chains has really caused quite a commotion. People want to know who that model is. The model happens to be the bar manager at the Blue Moon, who is sort of a fairy godson of mine and Murray's. It's been a real popular photograph that's given a sort of emphasis on the whole theme of this summer, of summer love.
Well, your tour shows us how diverse the art is here, and it's really a joy to be here. So I recommend to our viewers to come and visit Steve at the Space when you're here in Rehoboth. For Gay Fairfax, I'm Michelle Michaels.
Okay, Beltway fans, it's that time again, so buckle up.
In our last episode of Inside Outside the Beltway, Phil was outed by his roommate Vince in front of their friends Judy and George. We also saw another facet of Vicky St. Clair's character. And finally, John and Lenny dealt with the results of their HIV test.
So let's see what further adventures are in store for the men and women of Inside Outside the Beltway.
Come in. Oh, Phil, good to see you. How are you?
I haven't been too well.
You look like you haven't slept in a week. Come in and sit down.
I haven't been.
Have you been sick? You missed 2 of my classes.
I've had some problems with my roommates.
Problems? What kind of problems?
They know.
Sorry, Phil.
I went back to the apartment Sunday night after being away all day. And maybe the alcohol had clouded their memory of what had happened the night before. But it was as if everything was different. Next morning when I got up for my early class, Vince and George, they're my roommates, were already up, which is odd. I had the earliest class, so I'd get up, make coffee for everyone, have breakfast, and leave. And that night when I got home, they just sat there watching the news, ignoring me. And after the news was over, they went out for pizza and didn't even ask if I wanted to go. It was as if I wasn't even there. Now when I ask them if they want coffee, they say they don't want any and then make enough for themselves. I feel like such a leper. I'm so confused.
So what are you going to do now?
I guess I'll go back to my folks' place in Leesburg. Try to find a place for next year.
Anything I can do to help?
I don't know. I just want the semester to end. I guess the worst is over.
What about where you're living now?
It's okay. I can handle it. We're busy right now with exams and term papers. Never did see much of each other this time of year.
I'm glad you came to me, Philip. I just wish I could have been more help.
No, you have been. You've been there, and you've listened. I know that. You've heard me. I know that.
Larry Metzenbaum. Oh, Lenny, yes, how are you? Yes, that's right.